AM 1300 The Zone and Wolfpack Entertainment, or pardon me, Wolfpack Promotions presents The Next Generation. It's a fabulous night of boxing and MMA, and in order for us today to talk about it, we have brought in Aaron Wolfe, who now joins us in studio. And pleasure to meet you finally. Pleasure to finally meet you.
Thank you.
Indeed. Soft-spoken as you may sound and come off, let's just dive right into it, and let's talk about this Wolfpack Promotions, which is going, you call it the next generation. And when you say the next generation, I think you have to have a generation before you where you already have a legacy, and a person like yourself, all that you've been able to accomplish in your sport certainly speaks volumes for itself. Now, that being said, why are you so involved with the next generation? Because some athletes get what they get, or they get the fame and the things that you've been able to accomplish, and they forget about their past. They forget about people that along the way that have helped them get to the top. You have not done that. You've served this community, and I know you feel more important about this role from the articles that I've read on you than you do about your boxing career. Tell us why.
Because it really never was boxing. When I first came to Austin, it sounds bad, but I ate out the trash can. I slept on the streets with my kids. And, you know, I could dunk a basketball at 16, 17, but, you know, both my parents died, so you have to go to high school to play basketball. You have to go to college to play basketball or whatever you're going to play. Boxing, you can come straight off the street. Boxing is a poor man's sport, and it just saved my life. I just got out of prison. My father got shot 13 times, and I just was so full of anger because I feel like I didn't have what I needed to have, because I was an all-star athlete in every sport that I ever tried to do, I accomplished. So boxing just saved my life because I was allowed to have that raw aggression, and with boxing you don't have a format, it's just your person by itself.
And speaking of that, I think there are a lot of the people that come looking for the opportunity to make sure that they can also participate in something like that for a young person who might be in a very similar situation as yours. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think you close your doors to anybody, because I just knowing the type of person that you are. However, there are people that you relate to, and these are these underserved children like yourself at one point. You know what that's like. I've been there. I think other people that are listening have been there and know what that's like. But you have reached out your hand and said, you come on, I can teach you a way of life through boxing. You've been able to do that, and some of the boxers that you have fighting in this fabulous boxing and MMA event are people that you've actually taken under your wing and said, hey, here's how you do it.
Yeah, for years. And it's not just kids off the street, because if we all kids off the street, then what's going to be the role models? So I have teachers, lawyers, doctors, kids with parents, fathers to come in, because a lot of times these kids, the only love they're going to see is in that gym. The only place they're going to sleep is in the gym. But you still have other people that they can relate to. So we have a lot of fathers that come in and help them out. We have a lot of support. Greg Hamilton is a big supporter. He comes in, have dinner, bring stuff. Tim O'Connor, he donates the music hall. And you got a lot of people that's coming in. But I think what Austin has to realize is the kids that are left on the street are all our kids. And everyone should step in, because those same kids, they're not going to care who they robbing, who they raping, who house they breaking in. They don't care. For the lost kids, we all have to parent them. It doesn't matter. And boxing and money, I don't need none of it, but just to see a child change their life, to get a 14-year-old off of drugs, it's amazing. Wow. And with the kids I've been doing it about 10 years. Every kid that I've trained that's been in that gym has completed high school, because I had a 6th grade education. Even if they turned wrong, even if they went somewhere else, they all completed high school, because at the gym it's probably 10% boxing, but it's some strict discipline. But some of those kids just want to be loved, and I had an officer stop me and say, how can you get that many kids, young men, 20, 21, 22, that we can't even ask them what their driving license is? How can you get them to do what you want to do? I said, because they know that I respect them. They know that the discipline for me, I commend for them to do, because they're going to be the men that's going to be in Austin walking around or doing whatever they're going to do. And young ladies also. Boxing is good for young ladies. My daughter been boxing since she was 4 years old.
Who's on the card? Jennifer Wolfe.
She was ranked number 1 in the nation. Unfortunately, they're not taking her weight class to the 2012 Olympics, and so it's devastating for a lot of young ladies in boxing, because they only amped to take 3 weight classes. So I said, we'll just turn pro and we'll crush, destroy anything that comes from the Olympics or wherever. And that's another thing. A lot of people think boxing is aggressive or whatever. No, being in the streets is aggressive. Being in the streets is where you have to fight. In that gym, I teach these children how to destroy because they have something to fight for. Just imagine, I had kids come in the gym, they hadn't even eaten in a couple of days. 14-year-old kid, his mother don't want him, and his dad said, well, if you don't take him, I'm going to just send him back to, foster care. And you wouldn't think that goes on in Austin. And in the Austin women, I said, get out of your comfort zone and go into a community. Even if your comfort zone is East Austin, go on the west side of Austin and see what's going on. If your comfort zone is West Austin, or if your comfort zone is the UT campus, come from out of there and see what's going on in your community. The community is not just where you at. The community is all of Austin. We are all Austin people, not just some. And I teach these kids, if you stand eye to eye to a man, he can't look down on you. It don't matter what you have on.
Trainer and fighter and Wolfe joining the wake-up call right now live in studio. And you just talked about affecting change with these young people, especially with so many things that you've been through. And talk about a young man, James Kirkland, who you were a trainer for, who had risen to prominence in this boxing game, was a worldwide name, and ended up getting into some trouble. I think a violation of probation or something like that, and ended up having to go back to jail. Tell us, when can we expect to see him, and is he planning on obviously resuming his career where it left off, and it was flourishing at that point before he went to jail as well?
I think before he tries to resume his career as a boxer, I tell all boxers, you have to become a man, woman, or you have to, handle your business, not just inside the boxing ring. He'll be getting out October the 2nd, but it goes back to show that I'm not just going to teach boxing, I'm going to teach how to be a human being. And, you look at somebody like James, and he went from having nothing to having a lot, and he just didn't know how to deal with that. And so you have to teach them that. You trying to take somebody that barely has somewhere to sleep, somewhere to eat, no parental guidance, and then you say, okay, here goes $500,000 or $1 million. Now we want you to be a good young man. No, all his friends are still in the east side. So what it is we're working more. I think it's more challenging for me to work on them becoming men versus them becoming champion. I know how to build a champion because you take that hunger from just being from rags to roaches, and you take that and say, I want to be something or somebody. But it's hard to change a person that's being engraved in this, just in East Austin with nothing. And then you give them, I guarantee you give them $500,000, that's not going to change them. They're not going to know. And then people ask me, well, what in the world, what was he thinking of? He was thinking of normal, everyday stuff. He wasn't doing nothing but what he usually do. I mean, you walking around and this and that, and then they come up with the different types of shoes and clothes, and that's all they know. They don't understand the value of real money. They don't understand the value of giving back to the community. All they know is if they have on a certain brand of shoe or clothes, that is their world. That makes them somebody. If they have a gun, that makes them somebody. If they feared in the community, that what makes them somebody. Not about running a touchdown or winning a title. What makes them somebody in their community is if they feared or not, if they have a gun or not, if they have the shoes and the clothes and the jewelry or not. So I teach them that all that stuff, this too shall pass. That stuff don't mean nothing, but to them that means because that's their world. And a lot of people, I think what they don't do is understand what goes on in their world. I told Chief Osavator, I said, I want you to go down to Rosewood, and I want you to go into the Booker T. Washington apartments with the shoes and clothes you have on your back, and I want you to stay there for 60 days. And take your kids with you, and let them go to the schools in that community. And then you come back and ask me why they do it. And I challenge everybody to do that.
And Wolfe, our special guest, and if you don't know her story, I encourage you to go to AnnWolfe.com. And I also encourage you to support what she has going on. Clearly, this is a woman that understands where these kids are coming from. She's not somebody just pointing at a problem. She was once a part of the problem. Now she's a part of the solution, and she's trying to